Tell me about a time when you had to make a difficult decision. Well, during my studies, I used to support myself by working part time in a law office. Most of the time, it worked well. I could manage my time so that I could work when I didn't have lecturers. Also, it really helped me with my studies to have some real life experience to support the theoretical input I was getting at university. But then in my final year, I was offered the chance to get involved in a really high powered case with a major multinational client who wanted to take over a local company. I was very keen to get involved because it was exactly the sort of experience I needed. The problem was it was at exactly the same time as my exam session. I had to choose between studying for my exams and getting involved in the case. Well, I spoke to my professor at university to explain the situation, but that he told me it would be impossible to rearrange the exams. Obviously, there were no way I'd expect the takeover to wait for a better time for me. I considered trying to do both and perhaps doing less revision than I needed, but my exams were too important for me to take any risks. In the end, I had to put my studies first. When I explained this to my employer, they were actually very supportive, and when they saw how disappointed I was at missing the opportunity, they were sure I got more involved in the next big case that came up. That happened a few months later, and it was a fantastic experience. And because I would had a chance to study properly, I passed my exams with a very good grade. So it all worked out in the end. Tell me about a time when you demonstrated good customer service. A few years ago, my college got involved in the competition against other colleges to design and build innovative labor-saving devices. It was just a bit of fun, but the idea was that we developed our practical design and engineering skills as well as our ability to cooperate with each other and share tasks. One of my friends came up with a brilliant idea, a prime pushers for getting babies off to sleep and put together a design. The other guys did some great creative stuff, making it look pretty cool and working on the mechanisms. My role, although crucial, was a bit less glamorous, designing the electronics to actually make it work. It was a fairly straightforward job, so I wanted to be a bit more creative. Anyway, I put together the electronics very quickly, but I wanted to try something new. So I started playing around with extra features, a remote control, a timer, different speed settings, that sort of thing. I'd never done anything like that before, but it was a great way to learn. The other guys on the team really liked my ideas, so they adapted their designs slightly to take advantage of my modifications. In the end, we won the competition, and the judges specifically mentioned my extra features as the important factor in our success. And of course, I learned a lot of new skills in the process. Tell me about a time when you had to resolve a difficult situation. Okay, there was a time when I was organizing a conference here in London. It was a couple of months ago, and it was a really important conference. Anyway, what happened was one of the main guest speakers, who was due to give the opening address, had his flight cancelled and wasn't sure if he was going to make it on time. It was very important. The participants were happy with the conference, and I knew they would be disappointed if he didn't show up. Negotiating with a different airline, I managed to get him booked onto a slightly later flight. Unfortunately, this meant that even if he came straight from the airport, he would still be a bit late for the opening address. I took a risk and hoped that he wasn't going to be delayed anymore. As soon as he landed, I contacted him, and when I knew he was in a taxi on his way, which was about 5 minutes before he was supposed to be on the stage, I got up on the stage. I then told the participants about the situation and I invited them to have some coffee and cakes while we waited, which I would organize beforehand. Actually, they liked this as it was a chance to network later and get to know some of the other conference participants when the speaker did finally arrive. It was actually difficult to get everybody back in the main hall. In the end, I managed to keep everybody happy and ensure that the conference went as smoothly as possible.